Well, thank you, Javier, for joining us tonight. Maybe tell me a little bit about yourself and Divirod. Like, what does Divirod do, and what kind of problem that Divirod is trying to solve?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me today. My name is Javier Marti. I'm the CEO and founder of Divirod. I've been living a very international life, and I've been exposed to water everywhere I went. In Spain, the south of Spain, there was little water. In the Netherlands, there was a lot of water. When I moved to Chile, it was a mix. And when I came to Colorado, I got a flood event in my house. So really exposed to water risks since the beginning. And at some point when I started up, I thought about what was the biggest problem that I can tackle and how impactful this could be to future generations. And I found that water is simply the element that we have to interact with, and that triggered me the ideas about how to deal with the more frequent floods, the more frequent droughts, the extreme weather, and how water risks could be addressed in a way that could help corporates, insurance, people in general, and that always started with molding the idea of what Divirod could be. And we ended up creating the company.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you travel so broad internationally, like Chile. I didn't know that. I saw you just went from Spain to Denver. That's great. So what are the state-of-art solutions that people use for monitoring the water risk? Could you give us some examples?
Yeah, state of the art is actually quite. It's not a state of the art. It's actually a step back from the art. We've seen all sort of technologies, from a stick put on the mat to a ruler on the side of a wall, where people just go and take an annotation. Very manual, very let's say primitive in a way, non-digital, not ready to be processed at the scale. And then there is some other instruments which are like very point-driven measurements, like you have a little acoustic sensor driving into the water and returning, or things that you put in the water. All of them technologies which are very limited in what they can provide, and very much affected by the impacts of weather, slosh of water hitting against the pier, things like this. So measuring water is very difficult, especially if you want to do it right. And the other technologies that we've seen in the market are very antiquated to provide a scalable solution.
I've noticed some of the federal agencies like NASA have deployed satellites. Is that a viable solution for detecting flooding or monitor water risk in general?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, I didn't mention that before, but I work for the European Space Agency. We're not competing with NASA. European Space Agency, my experience there was all around Earth observation and cosmology missions, and even satellites looking at the sun. My experience with satellites is that, first of all, they have a revisit time. So they're passing around the Earth, and whenever you want to have a flood at a particular site, you have to wait for the satellite to pass by in order to capture an image or a reading of some sort. The other thing is, depending on the technology that you use on the satellite, you could be seeing more or less clearly. The pixel sizes are more or less bigger or smaller. And we do have, there's a range of technologies which could be very usable, but not, in my opinion, tailored to closed-loop controls. So if you want to take an action, you want to be informed ahead of time. You want to know what's going on during the event, and you also want to know what happened after the event. With a satellite, most likely you're going to have either before or after, and very unlikely that you pass right when things are happening. So having that visual and that access to information is essential if you want to deal with water risks.
So what is the Divirod solution?
Yeah, this is where we come. Divirod is actually providing a very scalable solution. We are a global water risk reduction company. So we provide data services to inform our customers what is their dynamic 24/7 risk status. So are we at risk at the moment? Are we evolving towards a risk? Are we going into a flood or to a drought space? And our technology provides this amalgamating billions and billions of data. And even those billions of data points are not enough to provide answers to our customers. So most of the time we augment using our proprietary technology with additional data sets, with readings which are far more accurate than anything else that is available today. So we're providing a very unique insight into unlocking water risks and water insights.
Got it. So you not only leverage your own proprietary data points, you're also combining all the data, I assume like public available data points out there to put together a more accurate data set.
That's correct. And when you think about bringing data together, anybody who's working with data knows the pain of bringing data from different sources, different codes, different APIs, different formats. And then when you get the data ingested, that data needs to be curated, needs to be put through a very rigorous quality process so that when it lands into our data lake, finally, everything is consistent and ready to use. So our quality process is, as I said, very stringent. We apply what we call the 4 C's of quality. Quality is with a Q, but C is also applicable. The 4 C's being completeness, consistency, congruency, and continuity. All of them are indispensable elements that put together when you're bringing data together, and they provide you the best quality possible.
And how do you achieve the 4 C? Is it like a manual process, or there is some algorithm help you to do that more automatically?
Everything happens on the cloud, and it's all automatic. We have automatic ingestion pipelines. We have automatic flows of data management going through different steps and adding data points in the various parts of our data lake. We not only get the raw data, but also the data derivatives. Everything that we do with the additional processing, we make it land into our data lake in a way that is ready for consumption.
That's great. And I'm curious about the different type of business model that climate risk intelligence company can adopt. Maybe let us know what are some of the few different models you've observed, and what is the one that Divirod decided to adopt?
There's a lot of different business models that you can adopt. The one that is best suited is normally the one that works for your business, the one that gets more traction. We started with a hardware-oriented model, which actually was not very scalable, was very difficult. Me and my co-founder, we come from a background of manufacturing hardware, and selling hardware is one at a time. So at the end of the day, you deliver something, and the customer does not come back to you unless they need another one. And this creates a very, let's say, very short cycle of a customer lifetime. For us, the most important thing is not to lever on the hardware. We put the hardware on a second stage. We concentrate on having data at the center of the customer. And by providing data services and data access, we can entertain recurring models of business. So we look at subscriptions that are enabling our customers to make use of the data, access the data, and entertain certain alerts, early warning systems, or anything that at the end of the day provides them with the type of insights that they're looking for.
So where do you see climate risk intelligence, this whole market, going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, every corporate that I know has to entertain some sort of data consumption of weather intelligence, water intelligence. We're all exposed to climate change. We can't stop climate change from happening. We're not powerful enough, but we can do something very useful, which is to adapt and put in place resiliency plans that help us live and coexist with water. I think that there's going to be more and more services coming in the future around water intelligence and weather intelligence. And everything, the most successful players will be those who actually provide real tangible outcomes to their customers. Like, for example, there are companies which are providing very static views of managing risk. So I do live in a floodplain. Yes, I know that. But am I at risk today? No. So anyone who entertains a real-time, 24/7 risk awareness solution, as we do, is going to stick to the in the future. And I think the winning horse is going to be right there, in that dynamic 24/7 risk awareness.
Right. So Divirod, do you provide any like operational guidance to your clients? So if you see, there's a potential flooding coming, do you provide them different type of strategies for evacuate the property, or any kind of adaptation strategy they can adopt to be ready for the flooding?
We don't do that. We provide them with enough advice, so an alert ahead of time so that they can establish the best course of action. Every customer has different needs, different problems, different stakes at risk. And we want them to understand that everyone is free to decide how much you want to protect yourself, but not everyone is free from understanding there is something coming or not. In our case, we like to deliver data in a way that corresponds to our motto, which is water risks simplified. The more simplified information is conveyed to the customer, the better for ingesting that information, but also to make sure that they understand what's happening and what they can do about it.
Right. Great. So where do you see Divirod in the next 5 years? What's your vision for Divirod?
Well, Divirod is a company which actually is prone to be actually bought by a very interesting company. Usual suspects will be in the financial services, most likely, because this is the intelligence that is going to provide a sensible amount of information to make rational investments, investments that take into account how to deal with, the climate risks that they've been threatened with. So we are very likely to be on the spotlight for acquisition in the next 5 years. However, before that happening, we are actually providing something that the more mundane word of using is we're going to provide the Google Maps of water in a dynamic way. The same way that Google provided the traffic information, you're going to be able to understand your risk on real time. That affects you, not something that is 100 miles away. But you're going to be able to manage your own context. And that's where we're going to position ourselves, in that sweet spot that actually can be used by anybody.
Right. So maybe one day you'll be integrated into the actual Google map. Feel like
Maybe.
additional layer. Awesome. Well, thank you, Javier.